The Republican Party has lost its mind on the Baltimore bridge collapse, and it is more than just rhetoric. After the bridge collapse, President Biden made this promise.
It's my intention that federal government will pay for the entire cost of reconstructing that bridge, and I expect the Congress to support my effort.
But because it is President Biden, a Democrat, because it is Baltimore, a black city run by a black mayor in a state led by a black governor, because this involves brown people, Republicans seem to have little interest in repairing an essential part of our nation's infrastructure. Here was Congressman Dan Meuser on the Fox Business Channel today.
Is Congress going to need to pony up more money, or is there enough money in the infrastructure package?
Yeah, great to be with you, Maria. Yeah, it was kind of outrageous immediately for Biden to express in this tragedy the idea that he's going to use federal funds to pay for it in entirety.
Apparently, Republicans think it is outrageous to use federal money to pay for the Baltimore bridge collapse. Congresswoman Nancy Mace says the funds to fix this bridge should come from Biden's infrastructure bill, money that, by the way, has already been spent. Congressman Meuser says the money should come from money allocated for electric vehicles, which, by the way, would not be nearly enough. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene says the government should instead be spending its time investigating whether the bridge collapse was an intentional attack. Congressman Chip Roy says any funds for fixing this bridge need to be offset with new spending cuts. Just to be clear, the price tag on fixing this bridge is estimated to be more than $2 billion. This is not a GoFundMe project. This is the kind of thing that needs federal dollars allocated by Congress, and not just because it's the right thing to do. For Republicans who would like to see this as just a Baltimore problem, just a black problem, just an urban problem, it is worth remembering here that this bridge affects a whole lot more than just Baltimore. More than 52 million tons of foreign cargo was shipped through that port last year. Nearly 140,000 jobs could be impacted by the bridge collapse. The shutdown caused by this thing could cost the American economy more than $2 million per day in wages. And the port where this bridge collapsed is the second largest U.S. export hub for American coal. Bloomberg reports that the collapse has already had a significant impact on one Pennsylvania coal company, which exports coal through that Baltimore port. That is the kind of thing you might think Pennsylvania Republicans like Congressman Dan Meuser would be concerned about. You might think a party that claims to care deeply about the U.S. economy and American industry would care about the staggering toll of this collapse, but it does not. Republicans are showing the country once again that it's not really about the economy or American jobs or even simply fixing what's broken. It is about weaponizing tragedy and stoking culture wars. And above all, it is about sticking it to Joe Biden. Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott spoke with my colleague Joy Reid yesterday, and he was very clear about what he believes lies at the heart of the Republican resistance to doing what needs to be done here.
We know what they want to say, but they don't have the courage to say the N-word. And the fact that I don't believe in their untruthful and wrong ideology, and I am very proud of my heritage and who I am and where I come from, scares them.
Claire, does it surprise you when you see what's sort of become of the Republican Party on an issue? I mean, I had to bring up American coal because it's like if Republicans needed any more reminder that this isn't just about doing the right thing, this isn't about Baltimore, this is about the essential part of the American economy and American energy that they're obsessed with, coal, and yet they still can't bring themselves to sort of understand why, funding this is important.
Yeah, it's a knee-jerk reaction with them. If it is a blue state, a blue city, if it is a diverse community, if Joe Biden says it, then it's all bad. It's all bad. Now, here's what's going to get interesting, Alex. Let me say two words, Larry Hogan. For the Republicans to take the Senate, Larry Hogan is very important in that drive they have. They see Larry Hogan as an essential ace in the hole in terms of taking control of the Senate. Larry Hogan was the governor of Maryland just a few months ago. Larry Hogan is running for the Senate as a Republican. Now, how is he going to win if the Republicans are standing unified against helping the people of Baltimore, this incredibly important port for America's economy. So I'm going to watch the Republicans in the Senate, because I guarantee you they are very nervous tonight about what this is going to do to Larry Hogan's chances to get elected to the United States Senate.
Pennsylvania coal is getting shipped through Baltimore. You don't fix this thing, you don't get your Pennsylvania coal out. And there are Pennsylvania Republicans who are like, I don't want, should we really fund this? Do we really need, can't you just use funding for EVs? I mean, it gets to this narrative, Charles, where Republicans seem blind to the fact that we live in an interconnected country.
Right.
Like, we are a union. As much as they would like to believe otherwise, no man is a state unto himself.
You're right, but the one important caveat here, and it is a very significant one, is that we've been into a space where facts no longer matter, or at least they don't matter as much. And so when you're talking about the control of information, when you're talking about the wide and vast amount of misinformation that is poisoning our dialogue, it's easier for Republicans to make this clearer in terms of their perspective, if you want to call it that, than what's actually going on. And so there are a lot of voters who are not necessarily processing it in the ways that you just talked about, because they have monetized in terms of fundraising, in terms of votes, owning the libs. They've monetized, we're going against Joe Biden and Democrats with everything that they do.
Well, they see Wes Moore.
Right.
Who is a leading light of the Democratic Party, black governor of Maryland, and they see an enemy.
Right.
I mean, not just in a partisan sense, but in a social sense.
Oh, absolutely, in a social sense. Let's not see, and this is exactly the conversation that needs to be had. I am not here to say or to suggest that every Republican is racist or has racist tendencies. But what I am here to say is that there is more of that than we give credit for, and we have not called it out in the ways that we need to. And that is a big part of how we've gotten here.
I just am reminded, Charles, of Tommy Tuberville holding up all the military appointments to make a stand on abortion that was used 12 times total during a 7-month protest when he held the American military hostage. They will stop at nothing to further partisan gains. For talking points that they can use back home, they'll hold the military hostage.
This has become so polarized, it's embarrassing. And I think that we as an electorate have to be honest about that. And when you're talking about every member of Congress who's up for re-election this year, that needs to be in the forefront of voters' minds, because this level of polarization is not sustainable.
Yeah.
And so for as much as people want to talk about the preservation of democracy, beyond who's in the White House, this cannot continue, and it needs to be addressed.
We can't have an economy if we can't ship goods in and out of the country, and we're hemorrhaging $2 million a day in wages.